In many other countries, that fight would have been stopped. With
I think in this day and age,
it's
it's stopped already now.
Yeah, you hurt a couple of times, but
yeah, I've been hurt. But the thing is, if you're not a quitter, you're not involved in them fights because you quit way before then. You'd get put down, you'd stay down.
Hello, welcome to Talk Boxing with me, Spencer Oliver, episode number 36. And we're doing something different this week. We've got a special, our favourite 3 fights of all time. And I'm joined by the one and only Cole, the Cobra Froch. Cole, how are you doing, mate?
I'm good, mate. Pleasure to be here, as always.
Brilliant, brilliant. Well, listen, guys, don't forget to like the videos, subscribe to the channel, leave your messages in the boxes below. But let's get on with the show, Cole. The top 3 fights of you of all time. Let's start with number 3. Who's your third best fight of all time?
Top 3 best fights of all time.
Yeah.
These like best as in it most exciting.
I mean, because my top 3, they're all equal for me. But I'm just going to go. Let's go with 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
So you start with number 3. There's been some great fights in our time.
There's a few that jump out, and this one is in my top 3, and it's probably third, and it's Jose Luis Castillo against Diego Corrales.
I'm on it, mate.
The late Diego Corrales actually died on a motorbike.
That fight was May the 7th, 2005. The first fight.
What a great fight. And,
incredible fight.
Yeah, I mean, I just mentioned there, and I don't think we should skim over it, but Corrales died on a motorbike accident a few years ago now.
Yeah,
what tragic that was. I mean,
tragic.
to go through just that one fight he did with Castillo, and then his life to end so abruptly on a motorbike, such a shame. But that aside, that fight with them, he was gone and done and finished. And many referees now...
They were both gone many times in that fight, weren't they? But that round 10.
Corrales hit the deck 2 or 3 times. He looked finished. That left hook kept clipping him.
Yeah.
And he was down and he was like, listen, that'll do now. Wave it off. Come on, finish the fight. And he turned it around and got the stoppage. And it was the stoppage was right. The referee was right to jump in because Castillo was gone on the ropes.
Corrales hit the deck twice in the 10th round, in the round of the stoppage. He went over with, I think it was about 35 seconds gone in the 10th round. He got caught with a left hook from Castillo. He went over and you thought, he's done. He gets up, Castillo puts it on him, does him again, he goes left over. And you think,
he went down one knee, didn't he?
Yeah,
his eye was closed.
Eye was closed, and you're thinking, there's no way. And then a shot that was sent from the boxing gods, while he was on the ropes, he let a right hand go.
Counter right hand. But even under pressure and even under the cosh, he was able to have a look. And this is what I'm saying about natural fighters and land that counter punch.
Yeah, that's right. But people talk about that and say that right hand done it and it sort of like turned it around. It was actually a left hook that went in afterwards, and you saw Castillo stiffen up. You know when fighters stiffen up.
And he had, absolutely, gone on the ropes, stiff.
Yeah, and he was
the ropes were holding him up, and Corrales was lining him up now for 2 or 3 more shots, and the referee saw that Castillo was out on his feet, and he jumped in. And
Good refereeing.
Amazing refereeing, because he gave him a chance. He gave Corrales a chance when he got dropped, because he got up, he looked at the ref, he says, I'm all right. He sort of wiped his face, his gum shield came out a couple of times, didn't it? He nicked a couple of seconds on the clock a few times. Gamemanship or whatever you want to call it. I don't think his gum shield fitted properly.
No, it wasn't. He pulled that gum shield out. It came out twice. You're right, and he pulled it out.
He pulled it out for a breather and to look, and the referee's like, get it done. Yeah,
just so they go back the corner were messing around.
The ref was never going to disqualify him for that. He bought himself a couple of seconds, but he got the finish. And when you say on the ropes and the performance he put together, shots, the combination he put together, and that left hook and the right hand, but to do that after looking like the fight should have been stopped. It almost looked like the fight should have been stopped against him, and then he ends up winning the fight.
Well,
what a turnaround.
In many other countries, that fight would have been stopped.
I think in this day and age it stopped.
Yeah, it stopped. Like
but
the second time when it went over.
Back in the day, the further back you go, the more brutal it became. You could be like 1 knee on the floor, arse on the bottom rope, and the guy's filling you in, and the referee's like, he's not gone yet.
Well, listen, tell us a little bit, Cole, like you would have experienced this, because you had that a couple of times in your career where you had a bite on your gum shield and turn things around. What were them guys going through? Because that's what the people and the listeners would be more, fantasized about, was what would those guys be going through in there to take so they go to a place that not a normal human being would go to. Like,
but you know what?
When they've got to bite down the way that they do.
You know when you get hit on the chin and you're a bit concussed or dazed or whatever you want to call it, and you get up, you're on autopilot then. Everything that's happening is just happening automatically. It's all subconscious, just reflex reaction. You're not going to quit.
Fighter's mentality.
You're not going to go down and stay down because you ain't got that mindset to quit. If you're not a quitter, you're not involved in them fights because you quit way before then. You'd get put down, you'd stay down. You know, we've seen it many a times. I'm not going to dig anybody out, but they're old school fighters. You know, they're a dying breed.
Yeah.
And the way it was then, the judging and the refereeing more so, and the rules. were a lot looser, and they wanted to see a fight finished. They didn't want to wave in, stopping. They've given him every chance. You do see that now and again. Look at Tyson Fury when he was flat on his back against Deontay Wilder, and the ref was on top of him, and he let him get up, and he got up, and then ended up pulling back the draw.
9 out of 10 refs may have stopped that fight.
Would have just waved it off, and he'd have lost. But yeah, that fight for me it has to be in the top 3. I've got it at number 3 because there's 2 I think I'd put above it, not for more heart and guts and just pure, strength of honour and heart and a solid mind, but just because there's 2 that just pip it.
Yeah, I agree with you. Them guys there boxed like they were in a phone box. They stood toe to toe, and we had all the dramas. But for number 2, let's move on to number 2. I mean, I think we're going to go the same here, mate. I really think we're going to go the same because number 2 for me was not a technical fight. It was just brutal, with both guys again being on the canvas.
Don't go number 2 yet. Let me think about this because there's 1 and 2. I think 1's the one that everybody's going to get, and we'll go to 1 in a minute. And I think we're both going to be on the same page with that one because it kind of has to be. It's a 3-rounder, and most people have probably got it anyway.
Yeah.
But the second one, and I was actually sat with a guy at the Hall of Fame. I'm not showing off.
Let me see that ring.
I know I've got the ring on.
Let me see that ring, baby.
No, we've seen it already. We've seen it.
No, you're hiding it behind the microphone.
Listen, people have seen the ring. But the second fight involves...
I love that ring.
Mickey Ward and Arturo Gatti. Because and they had more than one fight.
Yeah, the trilogy.
You told me which one.
The trilogy. Mickey Ward, Arturo Gatti won.
Yeah.
Where Mickey Ward was down in the 4th round with a body shot. Arturo Gatti went round. This was only a 10-rounder, by the way.
We talk about referees letting fights carry on.
Oh, mate.
Again.
And how they went. And like you say, this is not explaining. People that haven't seen it, Mickey Ward, Arturo Gatti won. Go and check it out on there because it was an unbelievable trilogy. Everyone was great. But the first one was like, if you want to know what heart, guts, showing balls and dragging yourself through the trenches is...
Go and watch Jermaine Taylor, Carl Froch. No, go on.
As well.
That was brutal.
This was something different. It was brutal, but... You're talking about refereeing there, Cole. How did that referee let that go in? From the 5th round, both guys were bashed. They were toe-to-toe, and it was brutal. No defence, just one guy having it. And then where were they finding that from? And how was it allowed to go on like that?
There was times when Arturo Gatti's arms were by his side, and he was riding shots, just slipping away from the shots, as they were still hitting him, full force, but he was just riding, just taking the sting out of him. And he'd take a big gulp of air, and he'd have a look, and he'd throw a 4-punch combination, left, right, left uppercut, right hand, and then he'd throw a left hook on the end of it, and that'd land. Yeah. And Mickey Ward would think, bloody hell, what is going on? I spoke to Mickey Ward about it. He was like, I thought he was gone 5 or 6 times, and then he just came back at me. Fair play to him, and all respect to him.
Yeah, Ward was down in the 4th round with body shot, and then Gatti was down in the 9th round.
The body shot was a strange one, wasn't it? But he went down, he needed his breather, and he got up, he recovered from it, and then it just ended up being, it ebbed and flowed.
Did Ward say that was one of the hardest fights he ever had? The trilogy was incredible. Every single one of them was mad. But
it was really, really respectful. But we know Arturo Gatti since died, the late, great Arturo Gatti, and he was so respectful when he was talking about him. But that was an amazing fight. That if you've not seen it, go and see it. Mickey Ward, Arturo Gatti, number 1. They fought 3 times, right?
Yeah, fought 3 times trilogy. Number one was a standout.
That was the one, wasn't it?
Because Arturo Gatti then adapted in the second fight, and he tried to box more on the outside. It's still a phenomenal fight, but he worked it out. He worked out what he had to do. He showed the adaptability that a fighter needs.
Absolutely.
Whereas Mickey Ward was one of those that just went in there and just loved to roll the dice, didn't he?
Absolutely, yeah. Amazing fight.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, listen,
is number 1 just too obvious?
Well, it's not really.
No.
It's not, because there's a lot of casual fans here that that we are turning into boxing fans.
Casual fans. Is that an insult to a boxing fan?
No. I'm saying just very, very casual fans. There'll be a lot of hardcore fans on there as well.
What do you mean?
Will actually remember your career. But there's a lot of casual fans in here that are just sort of thinking, I like these two. They've got a little bit of banter between themselves. Is this, is it real? Is the chemistry real?
The chemistry is real. We go back, don't we?
We've
worked together on Sky Sports. We've done a lot.
We go a long way. But the other, it's not really an obvious one. Well, it is an obvious one if you know, I suppose.
You know what it is? This fight that we're going to mention is, and people think, go on, get on with it. But it's the fight that, even if you're not a boxing fan, people will know this fight because
made me want to be a boxer.
It's had that much airtime and that much coverage. This is the one that wanted you to be a boxer.
This is the one. I remember sitting there. It was all April the 15th. 1985, 3-round war, best first round in boxing history. Marvin Hagler when he knocked out Thomas Hearns at Caesar's Palace. I remember being there, and I was 10 years of age then. I was just started boxing down the gym. You had to be 11 to box, didn't you? 10 years of age, I watched the fight, and that was the one where I went, I want to be him. I want to do what that done. That inspired me so much. The fight, the first round, when Marvin Hagler picked up that cut, you thought, he ain't going to be able to get through this. Yeah. And it just... explain it, Cole, how it unfolded.
Marvin Hagler came out, and there was hatred there, wasn't there? He didn't like him. I mean, Hagler fought angry anyway.
Yeah.
And Thomas Hearns was quick, rangy, quite gangly, tall and stuff. How did he do welterweights in the size of him?
I know.
And he's throwing that jab and that right hand, and his afro's like moving with his punches. I can remember because he was putting that much stiff shots together.
That was the thing, because what he'd done was
like Afro Thunder, that computer game.
He grew his hair. Like,
yeah, he did.
At that time, they liked that wet afro, didn't he?
It was a cool look, mate. It was a cool look, it was.
When he was getting hit, he was just...
Mate, when he was landing shots, everything was good. But it looked like brutal.
Oh, it was brutal.
It looked aggressive, and
but his legs were buckling as well.
Listen, as Hagler was putting shots on him and putting him together in round one, you just thought Hagler's going to walk onto something here.
Yeah,
and he did walk onto a few.
He walked onto a lot.
But he was okay. He just rolled them off, bouncing shots off the top of his bold Swede, getting forward, getting his head on his chest, putting in the body shots. Hearns would get some room, throw that right and left, that double jab right hand, hit him with everything.
Yeah.
And Hearns must have thought to himself, bloody hell, I've got him here, and it's still coming. What's going on? And he just exhausted himself.
Well, Hagler was switching orthodox southpaw all the time as well. When he, like you say, like Hearns was using the ropes well. He was a great fighter. Little uppercuts, big hooks, big right.
Yeah.
I don't know how Hagler soaked up the shots that he did.
He took some blood.
First round was insane.
Full-blooded shots, straight on the very lane.
Yeah.
Left hooks, right hands. Even I think an uppercut went in there, but it was back and forth. But I feel like after round one, Hagler was more in control, and the writing was on the wall. And when he got clipped, Hearns, and then he was on his back foot, and you could see his legs just a little bit. And it was like, this is going to end quick.
Instinctive.
That was the best 9 minutes of boxing, straight through 3 rounds of whenever it ended in. It might not have been 9 minutes. It might have been 7 minutes or 8 minutes. Was it 9 minutes?
Well,
wasn't the end of round 3, was it?
In the last minute of the third round.
Yeah. So there you go, getting on for 9 minutes, and that has to be the number one on most boxing purists' list for the best fight of all time.
Yeah, you had Hagler, Hearns, Leonard, Duran, like you said, that era of the Four Kings. Your sort of weight, Cobra.
Absolutely.
Would you have loved to have been around in that time? And people will go, they always compare eras and everything else, but I go, as a boxer, I'd always wanted to have boxed in the best era with the best fighters, because that's how you create legacies.
Absolutely.
How would the Cobra have slipped into that one? You would have loved that, because that was your sort of fighting, wasn't it?
I think a fight with Roberto Duran would have been just brutal and just like total, like would have been both bludgeoned half to death, because that's how that fight would have been. And this is coming from someone in me who's never been knocked out. All right, I've been knocked down, but I've gone up to win both times, as you already know.
Yeah, you hurt a couple of times, but
yeah, I've been hurt. But the thing is, if you're in against somebody who's going to stand there and just happily oblige you, and not hold and not duck low, and not try and get through a round and cheat their way through it, they just stand and fight. They're just proper men.
You and Duran would
proper
have gone
warriors.
toe.
Yeah, I think Sugar Ray Leonard would have been a little bit too skillful and too awkward. Look at him in his rematch with Roberto Duran.
Yeah,
it was like the no mass thing, because he was just too slick and on his back foot and outboxing him. And
do you know what?
It was a frustrating night for Duran. That was.
This fight nearly ended up in my top 3, and this was the one that was decided on. But you've mentioned him now, Sugar Ray Leonard. And
the first one with Duran.
I've got to give props to the first one with Thomas Hearns in 1981, when Sugar Ray Leonard was behind, and you had 15 rounds then. Right, to get that one, Sugar Ray Leonard versus Thomas Hearns won. 15 rounds then. Had it been a 12-rounder, Leonard's done. He was gone. I don't know how many times. Showed balls, man, like unbelievable balls, and turned it around and knocked him out. Was it the 14th or 15th round?
Yeah, it was late.
He knocked him out. It was really late, but he turned it around, and that was nearly one of my top. That was nearly one of my top 3, because I just remember seeing that and thinking what these two guys went through. But Leonard was a great one,
Absolutely, Leonard was unbelievable. All 4 of them was. What about that overhand right that Duran got hit with? Was that off Leonard?
No, it was Thomas Hearns.
That was
round
Thomas
2.
Hearns, wasn't it?
Round 2. Boom. That was
landed on his face. What are you laughing at? That was brutal. You can't be laughing at these knockdowns.
No, I'm laughing because it's your face. I can see you reliving those moments.
Because he was
putting yourself there.
Yeah, like
it was that right hand. That popped. You could hear it pop.
Yeah.
I think that was at Caesar's Palace, wasn't it? When he got knocked. Yeah, Thomas Hearns knocked out Roberto Duran round 2. Yeah, phenomenal shot.
All of them fights between them 4.
When the best fought the best.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah,
amazing era.
Brilliant. Well, listen,
and I'd have lived in that era.
Oh, I believe so.
I'm not blowing my trumpet. I think I'd like to think that I could have gone in with them. And a lot of them were middleweights. I mean, some welterweights stepping up. So I'm quite a big super middleweight. So I reckon with that slight size advantage, I reckon I had just slipped into them 4 and made it a fantastic 5.
Well, guys, this is a brilliant opportunity to leave your comments below. Remember to like the videos as well. That's it for episode 36 of Talk Boxing with myself and Froch. Until Wednesday, we'll see you next time.